us as builders can just focus on building out the protocol for all our users, and Arch does all the heavy lifting.
Our aim is to unlock 99.7% of Bitcoin, which is sitting ideal. This is Abhishek, co-founder and CTO of ChaChing.
Yes, I'm Faizan and I'm the co-founder of ChaChing. ChaChing is a peer-to-peer lending protocol on native Bitcoin, and we let users which are like Bitcoin holders, these can be like DeFi users, long-term Bitcoin holders, to actually utilize the value of the Bitcoin that they have without actually having to spend that Bitcoin or sell that Bitcoin.
Our aim is to unlock 99.7% of Bitcoin, which is sitting ideal without getting any like additional interest or additional incentivization.
Through our platform, you can just collateralize your Bitcoin, and this is going to be native on chain, so you don't have to bridge your asset or get a wrapped asset around it. You can collateralize it on chain and be able to borrow different stablecoins, different protocol tokens, anything. As a matter of fact, I think borrow lend is a big opportunity on Bitcoin because I feel that kind of sets the premise for everything that you can do in terms of like DeFi on Bitcoin or Bitcoin-fi. Once you give access to all these Bitcoin holders, access to liquidity for all of these things, and that is when you will see actual DeFi that is happening on Bitcoin, not just from a DeFi standpoint, but also from a user standpoint. There are different use cases that we're seeing on the protocol where folks would want to use or borrow against their Bitcoin. So I think it's a massive opportunity that we see right now. Arch has been really helpful in building ChaChing out, because when we look at building on Bitcoin, it's not as flexible as you see other ecosystems.
Considering the Bitcoin is a non-Turing complete language, even though it has a Bitcoin scripting language. To give an example, like building a multi-sig wallet with a number of parties and other things, like it doesn't need to be a peer-to-peer. It needs to be a peer-to-pool, so that the pool can be very much used as it is possible. So instead of making it a peer-to-peer and adding that hindrance for the users to get a liquidity in a much easier fashion.
When you start building on Bitcoin and when you start building protocols which are as complex as ChaChing from an infrastructure level, you don't just have to focus on building the nuances about the protocol or the DeFi protocol, but you have to look at how you can enable those in a way that you can bring it to Bitcoin as well, right? It has to be native, finalities have to be on Bitcoin. There are a lot of flexible interest rate mechanisms, even staking as a matter of fact, collateralizations and all of that. So before we build out a product or a protocol or a DeFi protocol like ChaChing on Bitcoin, we got to figure all of those things out on how we can do that on Bitcoin. And that is where Arch has been really, really helpful for us, because it unlocked all of that for us. So now us as builders can just focus on building out the protocol for all our users, and Arch does all the heavy lifting in terms of us having like composability, programmability, and those kinds of things, which are very critical for protocols like ChaChing to be able to succeed.
Seen a very good experience while working with the Arch team, especially with Aman and Brian. Like they are really helping from the day one itself. They are like, as I myself being the first time Bitcoin developer and getting directly into the Bitcoin ecosystem, like compared to the other Solana and entire ecosystem, like I didn't had much experience, but Aman and Brian especially has helped in throughout that bootstrap journey of myself, and their really entire team has helped in much more.
We actually took a bottoms up approach when we were building it. So instead of building a product and then asking our users to use that product, we went to the users first, understood what they wanted from a lending protocol like ChaChing, and then we built that out for all that users. And what we really understood was they would want stablecoin flows, like very Bitcoin native and positive stablecoin flows, where they would be able to borrow different stablecoins against their Bitcoin, deploy that within the ecosystem, and even repay that, right? So for that, now we have USDC on ChaChing, through which now if you are a Bitcoin holder, you can get into any USDC ecosystem by just collateralizing your Bitcoin natively on chain. By borrowing USDC against your Bitcoin natively, one, you're not compromising on the security of the Bitcoin. Like I said, you have to, you don't need to bridge your asset now in order for you to have access to any ecosystem that accepts USDC, whether you want to like send those payments to someone else, or you want to do anything. As a matter of fact, we all know how big of an ecosystem USDC is and how widely accepted USDC is. So now through ChaChing, we unlock all of that for all the users who are like Bitcoin native. If not ChaChing, they would have to sell their Bitcoin on any of these exchanges and get the same things. It is very important for DeFi protocols like ChaChing to have an aspect of composability in a way that we are able to make different even changes within the protocol, and they shouldn't be very difficult decisions for us on a protocol level as well. So when we talk about composability on Bitcoin, had we not done it with Arch, every decision that we take in terms of protocol development had to be very thought through, even if it's only for like experimenting purposes or even A/B testing purposes, right? Because we, for one problem, they're not just like one solution. We want to try out like different solutions and all that. So when we talk about composability, I think Arch unlocks that for us to an extent where we are very comfortable in experimenting on how the product should look like, both from a UX standpoint and even from an infrastructure standpoint as well. Arch has been really, it has been a wonderful experience building with Arch, because with Arch, it wasn't just the technical expertise that Arch gave us. It was help in terms of going to market, co-marketing, ChaChing for us, and even bringing in users, right? So when we talk about Arch, it's not like two protocols or two teams working together. It's one whole team. So we always thought of Arch as an extended team, always a call away, always a message away, whenever we needed anything. So they have been really helpful when it comes to even acquiring users for us, because for a protocol like ours, we were like just building on the protocol, not a very big team. Of course, we have to be very frugal when we talk about all of these things, especially going to GTM and things like that. So in that, Arch has really enabled us in a way that now the messaging that we want to push out to the entire ecosystem, Arch kind of helps us propagate that in a much better way.